So 28th and F Street on May 19th this year at approximately 6:29 a.m. Lincoln police officers responded to report two males fighting on the 2800 block of F Street. When officers arrived, they located a 57-year-old male who was unresponsive. Officers attempted life-saving measures, and the victim was transported to a local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. The investigation has revealed that Derek Pearson, 32 years old, Brianna Jelinek, 31 years old, and Micah Jurgen, 25 years old. After they arrived at the victim's apartment on the 2800 block of F Street, sometime in the minutes leading up to the assault, to confront the victim and potentially reclaim some of Ms. Jelinek's personal property. According to witnesses and available evidence, shortly after their arrival, an altercation occurred where Berggren struck a 51-year-old female who was with the victim in the head with a blunt object. She was treated and released from Bryan West. The victim and Pearson were involved in a physical altercation where Pearson struck the victim in the head with a large wooden stick, per witnesses. The altercation continued into the street on the 900 block of South 28th Street. During the altercation, both Pearson and Jelinek struck the victim in the head with large sticks. Again, this was from witness statements. Jelinek and Pearson, as well as Berggren, were detained on traffic stops while trying to leave the area. Berggren was lodged for an unrelated warrant and second-degree assault and using a deadly weapon to commit a felony. Jelinek and Pearson were lodged for manslaughter and using a deadly weapon to commit a felony. An autopsy was performed with the victim on May 20th. The cause of death is pending additional testing. The investigators continue to gather additional evidence in this case. I'll take your questions on this one. This was our first homicide of the year. Okay, seeing no questions, we'll move on to the next one. This is an update regarding the Saturday morning shooting that occurred at approximately 2:38 a.m. The shooting did occur on the sidewalk outside the Gravity Bar. Officers in the area did an incredible job when they heard the shots being fired. Upon their arrival, there were 3 people with serious injuries. These officers, due to their proximity and immediate response, were able to render aid to the victims. It was a great job by these officers and supervisors during a very intense, chaotic scene. These types of scenes are not easy. Victim 1, a 22-year-old female, continues to be in critical condition with life-threatening injuries. Second victim, 25-year-old male, is in serious but stable condition. The third victim, a 26-year-old male, was treated and released from the hospital. What we know at this time is the following. Physical altercations occurred inside the bar around 1:44 a.m., which led to officers responding to the bar. Parties involved in that altercation were separated at that time. Sometime after bar break, 3 subjects approached a group gathered outside of the bar. This group included some of the same individuals involved in the previous altercation inside the bar, however, also involved other bar patrons and employees. One of the 3 subjects opened fire on the group, striking 3 individuals. These subjects then fled the area. At this time, the suspects are not in custody. We obviously don't want to speak too much on this incident due to evidence that we are collecting. Because there are many leads that we are following, including video and interview witnesses from the area. I will say that those responsible should turn themselves in immediately. If anyone from the public has any information regarding this incident, please contact the Lincoln Police Department at 402-441-6000. You can provide your information anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers at 402-475-3600. Any questions?
Were the 3 people who were injured involved in the fight before, or were they just random people that were not involved?
We believe 2 of the individuals were involved in the altercation inside.
Do you have any idea who the individuals responsible are?
Not at this time.
Do you know how many you're looking for?
I believe it's 3, but you never know.
You said
Because once we get video and everything else, they can show other people.
Sorry, you said that these scenes are really hard. What makes them so difficult?
When an officer responds to an incident where multiple people are injured, specifically shooting, it's incredibly chaotic. You have a number of people, you don't know who shot, you don't know who was involved. You're trying to render aid, you're trying to figure out who is injured. So it is difficult when you come upon something like that.
Is there any ongoing threat to the public?
No, I don't believe that there is.
How can you guys be sure of that if there's no one in custody?
You can never be sure. But I feel very confident in the fact that our community is safe and that our officers are out there each night doing their job. They're right there when it happened. And so that I have great confidence in our people.
Do you guys have any vehicle description or I guess anything that would help people know what to look for when these suspects are out there?
I would say, cameras are very important, and being able to pull from those cameras to see who is fleeing the area is the most important part for us that we need. At this time, we don't have any information to make public in regards to vehicles.
What happens next? I'm sure there's a lot of businesses down there that you can pull surveillance video from.
That's exactly it. Should hire you here. It's exactly what we're doing. We're canvassing the area. We're asking for the public's help. We're trying to get everyone to really look at their own video. You don't know where somebody ran or a vehicle fled. And so we're asking the public to look at their video cameras and assist us in that.
Busy weekend for you guys, lots of violence. Any particular reason why, or just coincidence?
In my experience, these come in clusters. These are not random acts. There was a relationship prior to the violence that occurred. When I say relationship, that means they had interacted prior to violence occurring. It's not that people are jumping out of a car at any point, but what they're doing is, they're not interrelated, these cases at all, that we can tell. So I feel very confident that these are incidents that occurred, and it just happened to be on the same weekend. Any other questions? Okay. Approximately 2:20 a.m. Sunday morning, a 911 caller indicated he had been shot. Officers arrived in the area of 30th and P Street and were waved down and directed to a home in the 200 block of North 30th Street. Upon their arrival, officers immediately saw blood trails coming from the home. Officers entered and found 2 gunshot victims that were unresponsive. These victims have been identified. Right now we're waiting for next of kin. So what I can tell you is, number 1 is Hispanic male, 42 years old. Second is a Hispanic male, 26 years old. Despite life-saving efforts by Lincoln Police Department and Lincoln Fire and Rescue personnel, both males were pronounced deceased at the scene. Soon after receiving the 911 call regarding the shooting on North 30th Street, another individual was reported at a local hospital emergency room with gunshot wounds. His condition is stable at this time. What we know is that a party was occurring at the residence on North 30th Street with numerous people in the home. For unknown reasons, both subjects were mortally wounded inside the home and one person fled and responded to the emergency room. 2 handguns have since been recovered, video evidence has been gathered, and crime scene technicians have worked for hours to recover evidence in this case. I feel very confident that this incident is not related in any way to the shooting on Saturday morning outside the Gravity Bar, nor is it related to the homicide at 28th and F Streets. All 3 incidents are tragic. The loss of life and those fighting for their lives is unacceptable and senseless. Those responsible need to turn themselves in, and if you are a family member or even a friend, help us by convincing them to come forward. I want to thank the men and women that initially responded to these incidents. Rendering aid and securing these scenes was essential, and you did a great job. The investigators and crime scene technicians have worked long hours with little to no sleep to examine all aspects of these incidents to apprehend those responsible. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. I'll take questions on this.
Any idea at this point what led up to this other than the party?
Right now, we're still going through everything. We'll have more. I'll let you know down the road. There's a lot of evidence that we have to go through. I think everyone can understand that 3 incidents in a very short period of time. Staffing is short, but our people are working tirelessly to get it done. So as soon as we have more information, we will definitely get that to you.
And how hard has this been for you guys? I mean, you hadn't investigated a fatal shooting since October, and now you have, two shootings and a homicide in 5 days.
Lincoln Police Department is one of the best. It's not that we don't do investigations. It's ongoing, and I will tell you that I'm very confident in their ability, even though it was a period of time. But I have complete confidence in their ability to get their job done and get these people in custody.
I know you said all these events are random and there's no ongoing danger in any of these cases, but having these 3 incidents happen in such a short period of time may be unnerving for some community members. What would you want your message to be?
Our community is safe. We are absolutely safe. Our officers are out there 24/7, doing their job, getting people into custody, preventing crime from happening. That's what we do, and I feel very confident again in what we do each day. And so I would say to the public that you're in good hands.
In the party shooting, have you internally identified suspects, knowing that there are a lot of people that maybe witnessed the lead up to the shooting?
We have leads at this time.
Over the last month, I've been looking just at the weekly crime metrics and have noticed the last couple, there has been a pretty sharp increase in weapons offenses. In some parts of the city, it's still small numbers, but they are big percentage increases. Could this be correlated to an increase in weapons in the city, or is that something that you're keeping an eye on?
We're always keeping an eye on trends. I would say that when summer comes is usually when this happens. There's increased drinking, a lot of parties that are occurring. We're coming out of COVID in a more rapid rate. I think that can contribute to that, but that's ongoing conversations, and it is something that we look at.
How should Lincoln residents view these latest events that have gone on? Is our city becoming more violent?
Our city is not becoming more violent. These are incidents that occurred in a small period of time, but I feel very confident that they're not a projection of what is coming. I would say that we're working very, very closely with the bars and making sure that they understand our expectation. We need to keep order, and we can't overserve people. A lot of times fights will occur because of that. But right now society is going towards grabbing a gun versus getting into a verbal argument or being physical. That's people's solutions, unfortunately. And so we hope to continue working with our city partners and the businesses and really trying to come to a resolution where it could be a safe summer.
You'd mentioned over-serving at the bars. Do you think that's a factor in the first shooting?
No, not this time.
Is there any common thread between any of these acts of violence?
No, not that we have found.
Drugs or alcohol involved in any of these gangs?
Right now, I won't be able to comment on that. Any other questions?
And I'm sorry I got here a little bit late, but where are you in the
You're
most
late, I can't answer.
the most recent homicide as far as the investigation? Any arrests or any suspects?
We do not have arrests at this time, but we are confident that we understand what occurred, and I know it's a little cryptic, but we will definitely get back to you on more details after the investigation gets further along.
Are you looking for the public's help in any of the details of this at all?
For this one, obviously anyone that was at the party, to come forward and give a statement. There's a lot of people there. A lot of people left after the shooting. And so we hope that somebody's going to come forward and give us more details.
Do you know about how many people were there?
I don't. Anything else?
Have you been called to that house at all? Is it an apartment?
It is a duplex.
It's a duplex?
Yeah.
Had you been called to that residence recently at all for any party complaints or anything like that?
I know we've been called to the residence, but I don't know how many times we have.
And are you releasing the identities of the victims yet? Any of the victims?
No, because we're waiting for our next of kin. So we have to do that before we release any names.
And are they all, are they longtime Lincoln residents, or are they, you know, did they live in that apartment? Or,
I don't believe the victims live in the residence, but they are family members. Some of them,
of people who live in the apartment?
I believe so. Again, you know, the investigation is ongoing. We don't have all the details as of yet. So it will unfold, hopefully in the coming weeks, and we can give you more information.